Hello! Thank you very much for tuning into this week's Pick-a-Read. This week we're going to do Answer to Your Love Question. And I would look at the piles I'm about to do. When I do them, if there's one that doesn't really feel right to you or feels like it's almost repulsive to you, I might say you might want to choose that one as well. If one feels really good, definitely go for that. But if there's one that particularly, just one pile just makes you feel a little bit icky and you're like, I don't like that, you might want to just look at that and see if there's some type of answer to a question you maybe are not really wanting the answer to or kind of walking away from that you need the information to. Just keep that in mind as we go forward. All right, so for this reading, I'm going to use the Your Clairvoyant Oracle by Belinda Grace. I haven't used these in a long while, and I like the fact that it just kind of pulls me out of my comfort zone and lets the intuition just kind of flow. And I'm also going to use Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. Only 2 decks this time. All right, we're going to do 5 piles. So I can keep them in frame. That's a challenge in itself. Okay, so we got 5 piles. No, I think we're done with those. Okay, not sure how long this is going to go, but we'll find out. Alright, I think we got all we want for those. Alright, let's try to get them all together. And of course, let's just see where these end up. And alright, so there's your stones. Now, how are we going to do these? Let's see, we'll do 1, which will be the Tourmaline. 2 will be the Lapis Lazuli. 3 will be Titanium Rainbow Quartz, I think it's called. And Rose Quartz will be 4, and Amethyst will be 5. So, assuming I can keep these together the way I need to. Give it 1 second here. We'll get started. That way I can hopefully do these in the order I just said I was going to do them. You know. Alright, so the first one, Tourmaline. I still feel like this one's very much about grounding or having a very stable look into love. From what I understand, this is it's got a very strong masculine energy when it comes to love. But it can also be a very grounding energy. Very much what's really here, and pulling your acknowledging the emotion and enjoying the emotion, but like looking at what's really happening. You know, what's the truth? How much of this love is concrete and that's something I can stand on or stand with or want to stand with? Okay, so that's for this. So this is the answer to your love question. I don't like that. I don't know why. Okay. Now, where is this coming in? Right here. Okay, let's see what we're doing. It seems to all come in kind of like a bunch. 2 more times around the block. 2 more times around the block. And I have little pieces of chips going on here. All right, so 2 more times around the block. This is the answer to your love question. I'm getting the Fool with the acceptance is like you're trying to go along with a situation. You want to be open-minded. My first thought is, and I've heard this when I was young, and it kind of jarred me, but it made sense. It's good to be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out your head. Which makes complete sense to me. Because what I'm seeing is you're doing your best to go forward with this. You're doing your best to work with the situation. I don't feel like that's really bad, but they're saying, you know, being open-minded is good, but there should be a limit to it. You got to think about, you still got to have boundaries. Don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out of your head. 2 more times around the block is telling me this time there's still problems here. Things have not been worked out completely. So when you got the Fool with the acceptance is like, okay, I think, you know, I'm trying to work with this energy. I'm trying to work with this person, whatever's going on here. Because it's the answer to your love question. You're trying to work with the situation. Okay, great. But what I'm getting here is when you're trying to work with it, you're having best foot forward, trying to be as giving and as loving as possible. The Queen of Swords pops in here because I'm getting soon after, you're just kind of like, all right, wait a minute. I'm being open as I can be here, but there's certain things that I'm not comfortable with. Especially in today's day and age, I want to say that if you're not comfortable with something, whether it's politically acceptable or not, it needs to be addressed. So being in a safe space where you can bring forth how you're feeling and talk it out, you may even want to do this with somebody else than the person you're dealing with. Somebody who understands, where you're really coming from and that you're having problems with certain situations and you just need to talk it out because something doesn't feel right to you. And I feel like when I'm getting the Queen of Swords with the acceptance, it's kind of like you're trying to force yourself to fit that circle peg into a square hole or a square peg into a circle hole, whatever you want to say. You're trying to fit something that doesn't quite match. And I feel like if you can find a safe space where you can talk to somebody who understands your true intentions, and you're like, if something comes out of my mouth that isn't the best, they'll help me understand like where they think it's not really hitting right, or they'll understand what I really mean, and they'll explain to me like where things are off. They'll help me get that sounding board reaction without getting repercussion like I'm judging somebody, because something doesn't feel right here, and I feel like you're trying to feel okay about something. One way I've seen this come through is like polyamory is fine. And I'm okay with it. I don't have any problem with it personally. I think that's fine. If that works for you, that's excellent. But if you're in a relationship and the person you're in a relationship with is polyamorous and you're trying to be okay with it, even if that's how this relationship started, what they're saying is if you're trying to force yourself to be okay with something, you're really not. Even though, yeah, polyamory is fine, just if we're going to go down that road, but you're getting into this and you're trying to be okay with it, you're just like, really? You know what? I'm not a polyamorous person. If you're a monogamous person, that's equally as valid. So this might mean you might need to renegotiate this situation, because I'm getting the Hierophant coming in. They call him the High Priest here, but that's kind of the same energy in my opinion. I think it is exactly the same card, quite frankly, depending on your deck. So the High Priest you got here. I'm getting what has to go is things have to be reevaluated. And it's kind of like coming together and like I feel like you've tried something out. It's just not working. So now you have to reassess how, what's not good for you. What could you work with? What do you need to work with? I don't see the situation failing, but I feel like it has to be revisited. Something you originally thought you were okay with, I feel like you're not. You're trying your best. You just want to be okay with it. You're like, oh, on paper it looks fine. I understand it. On paper it looks good. But as you're experiencing it, the Queen of Swords pops in saying, you know what, I'm really not okay with it. And I feel like you might be with the acceptance of the Queen together here. You might be like belittling yourself or pushing yourself back, like, but I think I'm supposed to be okay with it. Or I said I would be okay with it. Something like that. If it's really difficult for you, have that third party so you can talk it out with, and then you're going to have to renegotiate. And they're saying the next renegotiation won't be the last. You're going to experience some new things. Don't be afraid to keep reassessing the situation. Because if this is really love, the two of you should be able to go over this a few times before it actually works out, but you both should end up in a very happy place. If it's really a love situation, if love is, having that infinity mark here where it's equal, going back and flowing back and forth, this should work out. The fact that you want to reassess or revisit the situation should be okay. Because if it's not okay with you, then, we got to talk about it again. We got to find out what's wrong. So I feel like this is the answer to your question. If you're trying to be okay with something and it's just bothering you, they're saying you need to reassess. You need to go back in and renegotiate. You'll probably have to keep doing it a couple more times, but it should get a little better every time until it's right. All right, I think this one is good. All right. And I know lately I feel like I talk a lot. Wow. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. If I repeated that a lot, I apologize, because I know once in a while it does happen. Every now and then somebody calls me out on it. Sorry. All right, so the Lapis Lazuli. This is usually a stone of communication, and I not always, but usually point out with my stone here, there's a bit of gray going on in there. Kind of an earth tone. To me, it's very grounded, very stable communication, very self-assured, talking about what you know, having the facts to back it up. That's what this That's what this little stripe in here reminds me of. This could be very balanced communication. This could be a very good stone for that, in my opinion. Now, for you all who... Okay, hold on. So, let's move these over just a little bit more. Before we even flip this over, I'm kind of getting that feeling, and I see them leaning towards this angle. It's like you're coming into something and you're headed towards a decision, is what it feels like. Usually that would be the other person and this would be you, but let's find out what's going to happen here. Well, we have a very colorful start here, don't we? Okay. So, here's what we got. I'm trying to make sure you can see them too, so I hope they're visible. It looks like they're visible in my viewfinder. And I see them, it seems like they're pulling towards this card, the reward here, but let's see how this goes. So the question you're asking, you got the Ten of Swords leading into the shadow side, aka the Devil card in most decks, going into Temperance. The Ten of Swords, which probably 90% of you realize is a very rough card. That's devastation, sadness, unhappiness, unable to deal with things, feeling stabbed in the back. Sometimes it almost feels like somebody else is enjoying this pain, or almost like you're watching somebody else go through this pain. For some of you, this is definitely, you're watching somebody else go through this, and it's very difficult for you. So if you are on the outside of this, if that is the case, it's very painful for you to watch to the point where you feel like you're in it anyway. It may not be directly happening to you, but it feels like it is because you're very emotionally sucked into it. This moment leads to the shadow side. Like it's a lot of fear, bondage, and feeling stuck, feeling like everything has been destroyed, like things are going really bad. And once that goes through, you got the Temperance. You're trying to figure out, like, now what? It's kind of like slowly kind of just looking at the aftermath and deciding, like, are we going to move on? Or is this a chance to rebuild? Where the Knight will take you. So the answer to your question, I feel like they're saying you have the choice. Which is, you know, you want your answer, I get that. But, like, if this is a really hard situation, and it's gone through it's gone through the mill, and you're just kind of assessing it after the fact, like, now what? Is it worth trying to fix, or should I just let it go? And should I just move on because it's been so rough? Where the Knight will take you is saying, now it's your turn to really have that control. Look at your situation. What was it? What was the shadow side? Is it the person you're in love with? Are they abusive? If they're abusive in any color, shape, sense, form, physical, verbal, if they're abusive to other people, keep your eye out for that. I feel like people miss that sometimes, and it bothers me. If the person you're in love with is abusive to other people, sooner or later it's coming your way. Be aware of that, especially if it's past lovers. Especially, you know, I'm not a big fan of this whole there's an excuse stuff. No, I don't believe so. Watch what's happening here. If your partner or the person you're in love with is abusive to other people, really sit on that and think about that. And think, how could that come back your way? Don't ask yourself if it will. How would it? If it comes your way, how is that going to happen? Just think about that. Because if you're in an abusive situation, the threshold is saying, leave, bye, done. You're not meant to be in an abusive situation. A lot of you are drawn to that because you're supposed to learn that it's, you know, that's not love, and to walk away from it. Not putting up with it is like, that's a reward in itself to find something better, because when you stop that, you go towards something better. So just that by itself, if there's an abusive situation going on, take your ticket out. Take your ticket out. Now, on the other hand, though, if it's just been rough, and this person, they're not abusive, but they have a lot of problems connected with them, and there's this going on and that going on, and life is rough, and it looks like it's going to take a bit of work to fix it. As long as it's not abusive, what they're saying is your choice is to stick around and reap the reward because you've gone this far and you've gained this person's loyalty, is what I'm getting. But if you decide that this is not really something you want to do, if you sit there for a moment and think to yourself, do I really want to do this? And you're kind of like, and you're dreading it. You're literally dreading it. You can walk away. It's fine. If it's just really stressing you out and you're just like, I just don't want to deal with this. I don't want to go through this again. You can walk away. If you choose to stay, as long as it's not an abusive situation, you will get the reward. But if you honestly feel like this is too much, because it's not going to be sunshine and roses all the way to the reward. The reward will come down the streets a bit. They're saying if you stick around sooner or later, you will get the reward. It's not going to happen in a couple months, is what I'm getting. For most of you, I don't see that happening in a couple months. And if that's just like, you know what, if this is going to keep going for a while, it's just going to feel rough for a while, even though that reward's there, it just feels like too daunting, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You have every right to walk away. If you want to, do what's right, do what you're feeling. If you don't want to do this and you're dreading it, it's okay to walk away. But they're also saying if you stick around and hold on, and if you can keep going and just finish this off, one day you will reap the rewards you're looking for with this person. To reap those rewards, I feel like I'm getting more of a clue why this is here. You're going to have some very honest, deep conversations with your partner. And when that might be the beginning of it, you may actually have to go into deep conversations with other people too, but it's going to start with your partner. There's going to be a lot of deep bonding here. A lot of talking of feelings, a lot of dealing with stuff like that. So the reward is there, but you're going to definitely work for it, but it's going to be worth it if you're okay with doing all the work for it. It's up to you. You have to decide so far what the situation is doing. For those of you who are married, I mean, you know where this is going, is what I'm getting. For those of you who've gone through a rough spot with marriage and you see this possibility coming forward and you're like, yeah, I can put that work in and I can make this turn out. You already know what your answer is. Because if you're dreading it, again, even if you're married and you're dreading it, maybe there's a reason you're dreading it. You still have this option. It will get better if you want it to. But if you're thinking, you know what, I've gone through this a few times, I'm sick of going through the ringer, you're dreading going through this for the umpteenth time, you have this option. So I hope this, I'm just trying to make sure, because I feel like what they're saying is you do have the choice to leave. If you want out, you have every right to get out. And I feel like they're empowering you to say that. They're also giving you that go-ahead. If you want to put on this work, they're saying your work will your work will pay off, if I can spit it out. It'll put out what you want it to. I mean, their answer's there. Is there anything else with this? Okay, I think we're good. The answer is there. The fact that it's splitting in two directions, I'm just like, I don't know. It's not how I was expecting these readings to go, but you know what? They're going to do what they want to do. Not for nothing. Titanium Rainbow Quartz. Now, from what I understand of this, it can increase your vitality, bring more enjoyment into life. I have seen it referred to as a healing stone too. But you'll notice there's a lot of gold and purple here. In this one anyway. So there's a lot of like getting to your own personal loyalty, self-loyalty, and connecting to your divine essence is what I'm feeling with the purple. And just like going forward with what you believe is right, what your heart is telling you is the right way to go. So I feel like for this one especially, you probably already have the answer. This might just be confirmation. I feel like this is way up here. This card way up here, so I don't know if I can push these down. I'll bring it into frame when we flip it over, but I feel like what they're saying is like this is like almost like your spiritual advice. Okay, so I'll show you that when the time comes. Forgive and forget. Okay, you got that going on here. Music, oddly enough for this reading, I don't know if I really like that card. I usually do. I feel like somebody's having a good time, and maybe, because I'm seeing that 3, that would make sense why I don't like it. You got the 3 of Swords for you. The other person seems to be living life and enjoying life. and I feel like you're not liking what's happening. For some of you, I feel like you're questioning if you're jealous or if you're seeing your partner do something that makes you really uncomfortable. And you're questioning if it's really inappropriate or if you're just having a jealous feeling, and you're questioning, like, am I jealous or is that really inappropriate? Because I feel like your partner is all about themselves at this moment where they're enjoying themselves, and I feel like you're questioning, like, is that okay or not? It does bother me that I'm not included in that, but is it really a bad thing? Even though you got the Three of Swords, which means you definitely don't like it, you're questioning, should I not like it? Like, am I having a jealous moment? I feel like that's what you're questioning. Wisdom is the outside influence here, pulling in from your side. And I feel like what they're saying is, I feel like your partner's just off doing what they want to do, enjoying life without you. That's what this part feels like. I'm not seeing anything really inappropriate, quite frankly. I just feel like they're off doing their own thing. And some of the people, like some of you, your partners are like, they have like a hobby or something that they're very into. And maybe they're gone like every weekend, every other weekend, something like that, a couple times a week. And they're off doing that. And it's just kind of making you feel sad and lonely, disconnected from them. The Wisdom card is popping in for you here, saying, you know what? Strengthen your bond. Strengthen your bond with this person. If they have something going on outside of you, as long as it's not flat out unacceptable, which you would know what that was or not, what I'm getting is to strengthen that bond is to fight for it. The Nine of Wands is saying fight for it. Forgive and forget. Now the forgive and forget, like it's a rough one for me. I'm a Pisces though. Forgive, I think I can do that. Forget, not so much. So the fact when I wrote that down, I'm just like, really? I'm going to write this down? Because forgive and forget doesn't usually work well for myself. But what they're saying is, forgive and forget, like whatever this is, as long as it's not like something like cheating, and you're like, you found your partner cheating, which I'm not feeling that with this. I don't feel that here. But like, just let that person let them have that, let them do that, and forgive and forget and defend defend your relationship is saying, create something for you and your partner to do once or twice a week. Something that's just between the two of you. Even if it's just like a certain show that you both like. Making sure you're both there, or maybe just like, watching it together. Like, you have Hulu and Netflix now. So just making sure neither of you watch it until you have time together to watch it, and watch it together and enjoy it together. Do things like that. Maybe one night a week have a meal together, out or in-house or wherever you want to go, or maybe go to a family dinner once a week, something where you create your own joy with this person. The Nine of Wands with the forgive and forget is like, forget this. Don't worry about this is what I'm getting. Unless it's flat out inappropriate and you know if it is or not. Like if they're off doing some hobby, let them do that, because I feel like that's creating balance. To forgive and forget that, it's like create your own time. Like create a couple appointments yourself with this person a week. I'm getting 2 would be good. Right? Even if it's just like watching a show together, a certain show, and like at the end of a certain night, and then later on in the week, just like maybe even having breakfast together on Sunday morning. Maybe that's what you want to do. And you're like, you know what? At 8 o'clock we'll get up and we'll make breakfast together, or maybe we're gonna do this together. You know what I mean? Just something where twice a week you have these times with your partner, yourself. I'm getting that will get you to move away from this worry. That's where the Seven of Swords comes in. Like, this doesn't matter anymore. I feel like this doesn't matter anymore. And this is the wisdom from the outside influence, like the wisdom coming down to you from an outside source saying, you know what? This could be better for you. You can enjoy life more. You don't have to worry about what's going on with your partner here. It doesn't feel inappropriate. Because quite frankly, if it was, I feel like you'd be handling this in a much different way. I don't feel anything inappropriate is happening here. It's just they're enjoying life. They're enjoying something without you. Maybe they got a hobby or something going on without you. That's fine. Create your own couple times a week where it's just you and them, where you connect, you enjoy each other's time. It will make this a non-issue. It will make this a non-issue. And that's the answer to that one. This is a healing stone sometimes. That's pretty cool. This is saying also increase your vitality. Create more times with this person. Make it what you want it to be. Don't accept it for what it is. Make it what you want it to be. And I think that one's done. All right, let's pick up these cards. Rose quartz. A lot of people write rose quartz. I love this stone. It's huge. Like, look at the size of my hand and the size of that. Not that I have huge hands, but you know, it's a big hunk of quartz there. I love it. And I love that it's a raw piece. I very much do like tumbled pieces too, but lately I've loved the raw pieces. I just think they're so awesome. And if you didn't know, rose quartz is usually centered on love, bringing in love, enjoying love, heightening love, very lovey-dovey all over the place. It's very strengthening. To me, it's also like a healing stone, because I'm one of the believers that, you know, through love everything is healed. I'd like to believe that anyway. You know, I'm sure I'm getting called out in the comments for that, but okay. What do we have here? What? Want not, waste not? Is that what this one is? Want not, waste not. Yep. Reading my own handwriting upside down is quite the challenge. Oh, I like that card. This is very empowering to me. What is the name on that? I am definitely an intuitive reader, so Kathumi, I apologize. There's definitely going to be a bunch of you out there who know what this actually means. I'm going to be honest. I do not know what this means right off the bat with the Kathumi, but I got a lot of intuitive energy coming off it, so that's how this is going to be read. So just in case, I'll forewarn you, I'm an intuitive reader. That's why I like these cards, actually, because I want to pull myself out of the box. I just don't want a definition. I want to feel what's coming off the cards. Now, I like this, though. I like this for you because I'm feeling a lot of strength. I'm feeling a lot of power, looking out for the whole situation. I'm getting your partner here because it feels like your answer to your love question, like I feel like this is a partner here. Like this is you, this is your partner, this is your partner's line, this is your line. You're trying to look out for the whole situation, but it's becoming a bit heavy. It's hard to hold on to it. It's not the easiest thing, and you kind of have to keep yourself grounded. You got to play kind of like a poker face with a little bit of it is what I'm getting to here. But I'm feeling like you're very much about the longevity. And kind of like, you know, it's a little heavy right now, but this is too beautiful to let go. I don't want this situation to tank. So I'm going to hold it together. I'm going to assess this. Sooner or later, I'm going to find a place for this giant marble, which is the world, to rest that giant marble somewhere where I feel happy with it. This is going to make it, but I might have to bite my tongue a little bit. I have to look forward to like the long term. I want this to survive. So I'm going to have to look at a 360 angle here, not just how I feel, but how everybody else is feeling, and try to understand other viewpoints the best I can. To me, this is a very evolved scene. Like you're not just about this is how I feel. You're about this is where I want this to go in the long run. I want this to be a happy, healthy relationship. So I got to see it through other people's eyes. It's not about what I want to see. It's what's actually there. That's the big thing with this. It's not about what I want to see. It's what is truly there. Because I'm seeing your partner with the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands. They seem to have had a moment here where things went a little bit south. Either there was an argument or some type of moment where they did something and they're not proud of it, is what I'm getting. But they're trying to pick up as soon as possible, and they're trying to make good on it as fast as possible. And I feel like whatever the trespass was, you're looking at it to the side and you're like, this is a bit much. But, and then granted, if it's an abusive situation, that's a whole nother ball of wax. I will not promote an abusive situation. If you're in an abusive, physically, mentally situation, I'm not one where you should stick in that. I'm thinking you should walk away. So, barring that, if it's something else where they said something wrong, or maybe there's something else where they stepped outside of the lines and did something that, you know, maybe infidelity, possibly, that depends on the person. They've done something that you can forgive for, and it's not abusive to you, like you're not getting physically or mentally abused. They're moving quickly to make it right, and you're holding back and saying, well, I want this to become right. I want to let this have a chance. With the want not, waste not is what I'm getting, is like they're moving very precisely, very quickly forward, and they're trying to fix it quickly. they seem to realize that the misstep that they made could be a very traumatic very traumatic moment that could create a lot of damage. That's what I want to say. I'm getting, as this moves forward, they're trying to make this right really quick, which is honestly kind of lending you support, holding this up, holding the situation together. It's not the easiest at first, but when this person is really bending over backwards to make it right, it makes a difference to you. It gives you a minute here to really think, like, you know, what do I really think of this relationship? Is this a moment where, you know, I can look past this and things could be better going forward? Or, you know, what do I really want here? Do I really want this to keep going? Because you got these two cards together, kind of like, you're holding it together, you're holding yourself back, you're holding a poker face is what I'm getting here, but you're holding the situation together. Self-acceptance is like, all right, whatever that trespass was, what was it really? And not for nothing, we're going to go into that abusive line again. If something physically or emotionally abusive happened to you, you need to look at yourself and say, what am I accepting here? What am I accepting? Is it truly acceptable? If this happened to someone I love, maybe you have a daughter or a mother or a brother or a father or anybody, a best friend, if this happened to them, what would you say to them? Would this be okay? Would you be okay with what happened to you happening to them? Would you be like, yep, and that's how that should go? Would you feel okay with that? Or would you be like, you know what, you need to get out of Dodge? How would you feel? That's the self-acceptance. That's like a really strong self-acceptance test, in my opinion. If you can think about somebody you truly love and what happened to you, if it happened to them, what would you want for them? Think of it that way. Because I see what's coming out here is prosperity. So if this is something where you can correct this, I'm getting whatever it was that went wrong here, it has to be addressed. Because you'll notice with prosperity, there's a lot of people talking here. And I'm also getting like you might have to talk with a third party or possibly a group dynamic going on here, airing out your airing out your concerns or what happened so it's not a secret and letting other people, you know, help you through it. But I do see it's going to move forward. The answer to your question, actually, with prosperity is I feel like you have to bring it out in a public sense, which may be a little bit scary for some of you. If you can bring it out in a public sense, in a public way, and have it worked out and help somebody else help you work it out, this could really turn around and go well. Otherwise, what I'm getting, if it stays behind closed doors, if it stays hidden, the Nine of Swords will return, and it could return as the Ten of Swords later. So the answer to your question is you have to be able to talk about this publicly. You can't let it become a quiet, dirty little secret. Whatever it was that happened, it has to be something you could talk about with other people. That's the only way it will actually heal it and move it on, because it will be right out there. It not only releases your feelings, but it makes this other person accountable, and it gets things to move forward correctly is what I'm getting. So that may seem like a strange answer, but I'm getting want not, waste not is like if you get it out there, there's nothing left to worry about. There's no waste, if that makes sense, because you're putting it all out there. You know, not too much. Want not, waste not. I think that's what we're trying to say. Like, you don't have to give every little detail. You know what I mean? You don't have to like write down a detailed description. This is what happened at 12:42, and this is what happened at 12:43, and then at 12:44, yup, and then 12:35. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be that detailed. But want not, waste not is just saying the pertinent details so people understand what happened and how you feel and what the other person did. You don't have to get into the mushy-gushy details. Just enough so people know exactly what happened and there's no, you know, craziness involved there. But if you can make it public, it can really heal. And that might just be you and a best friend, or you and your partner and a therapist, whatever that might be. But it needs to come out, and there needs to be somebody else involved in this, because if you can talk this out publicly, it can heal, because it makes you release your energy, so you're not holding it back, and it makes this other person accountable. And it could heal. It could definitely heal. But that's the answer they're giving here. Like, you got to bring it out in the open. You got to let it air out publicly. That's what I'm feeling. Which I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't like to do that. In this situation, if you want it to heal, that's what you're going to need. Or this comes around again. Possibly the Ten of Swords. Either Nine of Swords returns later or the Ten of Swords. One of the two. So the Ten of Swords is complete devastation if you're not aware. Anything else? All right, I think we're good with that one. I think the quartz here came through because it's definitely, I feel like you have a lot of love for this person, and I almost feel like part of you, there's definitely a few of you who don't want to embarrass your partner, but I feel like if you want this to heal, you're just going to have to move on from that thought. It's not about embarrassing them, it's about putting it out there publicly so it can heal. All right, now we got one left, Amethyst, which I like this stone a lot. The shape of this one in particular. I like the brown tones in it too. Amethyst is usually like a psychic stone, in my opinion. It's connected with like that higher learning, that higher vibration, actually dealing with something on a spiritual level, like you know something is wrong and not doing the right thing in the sense of like whatever somebody else would say was the right thing, but doing the right thing by your own heart, by your own soul, by your own intuition. Okay, here we go. What? This is the problem, and this is where we're going. That's what I'm getting. Now we're going to start with this. Try again. Okay, let's see what this is saying. The Sun card, distorted memories. That's distorted memories. When I'm seeing this pile, especially because they're crossed, and you got the Sun card right side up, but it's crossed by the Six of Cups reversed, which makes me feel like distorted memories, false memories, remembering something not the way it really was. Like some people who get this card upside down, which is this is pretty much upside down the way I'm feeling about it. It's almost like being gaslighted. But the fact that it's like a little crooked, like off to the side a bit, like there is fact included with the fiction. If you don't know what gaslighting is, it's basically where somebody keeps telling you something over and over and over again, and you know it's not true, but after a while they say it so many times that you start to question, well, was it true? Or like you start to question if it really did happen. It's kind of like, you know, there was a purple dragon flying across the sky at our last family reunion, and you're like, that makes no sense, that never happened. And they keep saying it, you're like, what if there was something like that? I mean, you never know, Bigfoot could be out there. Like, you start to really wonder, and even though it sounds completely ludicrous, you're like, but maybe they saw something that I can't see. But they keep saying it, and you know that they didn't see this. But you just, after a while, they say it so many times that you start to think, wow, there are purple dragons out there. I wonder one day if I'll see one. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It sounds completely ludicrous in this situation, I know, but that's how dramatic it can be. Because I'm getting distorted memories, and I'm getting the Sun card saying something in the past was a lot better than it actually was. It seems a lot better than it actually was. The distorted memories, they're damaging the past is what I'm getting. And that could go left or right depending on what you're seeing here, but I'm getting like there's a distorted past. It's like the way you remember things and the way somebody else is telling you that it was is not matching. So if somebody's telling you like things used to be great, things used to be wonderful, and you don't really remember it that way, but you're questioning, was it better than I thought it was? Or vice versa, somebody's telling you it never was that good, you know, it's just in your head you thought it was that good, and you're like, but I thought we were really happy. Why are they trying to change your mind? Why are they trying to make it look different is the question. Because I'm getting like, this doesn't feel good to me. I'm getting like a gaslighting feel. And I think that's what we're getting at here. Somebody trying to get you to feel a way about a situation that you truly don't feel that way. Somebody going against the facts and trying to bend your will by trying to make you believe something happened that did not happen. And what I'm getting here is like the leadership is like, this might be your time to walk away from this, which is extremely harsh. I know that. But if you see the leadership and you got the eagle here, or is this a hawk? This might be a hawk. But taking flight, you know, going across that open water, you know, out to the mountains. Like if somebody's really messing with your head, they keep doing this, especially if that gaslighting term is ringing, quite loudly in your head. You're hearing that, especially if it's bothering you, and this person's constantly gaslighting you. This is not good. This is something you're going to want to walk away from. This is something where you're going to have to like step away and just kind of look at who is this person really? Because what type of person would dare do that to somebody else? I'm of the belief that there is no justification for gaslighting somebody. That's my personal view. I feel like that's a negative energy and that's inappropriate. Facts are the facts. History has been the history. But if anybody tries to gaslight another person, I feel like that's very negative. That's very wrong personally. So I'm just going to put my own little 2 cents out there. And if this person's doing that, you might want to look a little bit closer to who it is you're around, who it is you're hanging out with here. Because that's a very bad quality in my opinion. Because that's distorting things. That's taking things and making a lie out of the truth. It's not good. I don't personally, I don't have any patience for it myself. And that's why this stone is popping up, the amethyst, saying, listen to your spiritual heart, saying, this isn't right. That's not what really happened. And I'm sick of hearing it. And it's like this person just keeps saying that and keeps saying it. Why do they keep saying it? Because sooner or later you're going to believe it. And they know it. All they have to do is keep saying it, and sooner or later you will believe it. And that's not good. That is the answer. Like, you're going to have to distance yourself from this person. That's a really bad quality. If this is hitting and you chose this, it's a really bad quality. I can't even justify it. I just don't know of a way. I like to do like a nice ending in some way, but I can't. I just can't. So that's what we got for the amethyst. There you go. All right, that was the last one for this pick a read. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.